What's going on, everyone? So this week I just want to have a quick discussion about what the secret to beating the Gorsane God's Knights might be, because I think Oda had a pretty big hint in chapter 1149 that the answer is biofeedback. Now, if you don't know what biofeedback is, that's totally okay, because it was only mentioned one time in the story by Chopper when he was fighting Kumadori. But the thing is, Chopper related that to a power we already know about called Semi-Kikon, or Life Return. This is the power that Kumadori used to control his hair directly, and we also saw Lucci use it whenever he went into a bulkier mode in his hybrid. And we also saw a power similar to these, although not the exact same, in Dressrosa called Qigong. That's what Lao Ji used to go back into his younger state with all of his youthful strength. Pretty much all of these powers revolve around the idea of controlling your body's processes to achieve something greater than you normally could. But now, what does that have to do with the regeneration, you ask? Well, look at the person who's most interested in finding out this secret right now. It's Chopper. He's virtually the only Straw Hat who has any knowledge of biofeedback or life return or any of these abilities, and that's why I think Oda might be telegraphing what the secret really is. Because you see, Chopper also had a comment that he read about biofeedback before in a book. And Enies Lobby wasn't all that long after Drum Island. I doubt Chopper had that much time to read a lot of new books that he didn't already have, so that leads me to believe that he read about biofeedback from a book back with Kureha. And remember, Kureha has a secret that's let her become the oldest living human, and we still don't know what that secret is. And so I've been saying for a couple years at this point that that secret might be biofeedback. And why would that be the secret to beating someone who's supposedly immortal? Well, if you want to figure out how to beat immortality, maybe you should ask somebody who's kind of already figured out how to be immortal. Now, Kureha's obviously not truly immortal, she'll probably die eventually, but being the oldest living human is probably as close as we're gonna get. And if the secret to beating this regeneration is the same secret that Kureha's used to live a really long time, that would build off of everything we talked about in a video from a few months ago on this channel, which is that Skopper might be Kureha's son or grandson. If you go back to that Mountain Eater incident, we were told that he cut down a bunch of trees, and in Drum Island we have these mountain tops which could easily just be tree stumps covered in snow. Kureha was also the first one to mention the initial D, and that Gold Roger's real name is just Gold D Roger, which implies they have some kind of connection. She seemed to know him better than most people do. And so now that we see Chopper going right for Skopper to save him and learn about this secret, I think we have some major dialogue on the way. Because if the secret really is biofeedback, Semi-Kikon, Life Return, Qigong, whichever one you prefer, I know there's a lot of names, then Chopper would be the perfect one to learn about it first, because he's the only one who's been exposed to it. No other Straw Hat's really seen something like this before. It's kind of a unique power-up that's just been sitting in the background waiting to be brought back at some point. And I mean, Luffy already has Conqueror's Haki and Future Sight and Ryo and Awakening and all those other things. So that's led me to believe that the secret probably isn't as simple as just more Haki or more applications of it, but maybe it's a power source that we really haven't explored before. And like I said, if the key to beating someone's immortality is the secret that gave someone else immortality in Kureha, that would be beautiful to reveal during this arc, because we also met Jarl, who's the oldest living giant. Maybe this arc is where we get to the bottom of why everyone gets to live for so long. Which for Jarl, I think that's probably just happenstance, but for Kureha, there obviously is a secret because she hypes it up so much, right? And the fact that we don't know what it is, and Oda hasn't bothered to reveal that, tells me it's probably something important. And so I think this Chopper and Skopper connection is where we're going to get to the bottom of it. And I mean, Skopper has the epithet Mountain Eater because he cut down a bunch of trees, and Chopper was named Chopper because his antlers were strong enough to knock down a tree. They already have a lot of similarities, so I think it makes a lot of sense that their backstories are intertwined as well. And obviously they'll talk about whatever this secret is, but it might even lead to a full flashback of the Mountain Eater incident. Maybe we'll get to see Kureha when she was younger, maybe we'll get to see Roger and Skopper when they were younger, maybe we'll learn more about Roger's disease. There's a lot of stuff that could come out of this backstory, and that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, not just because of the secret of it, but as soon as I saw Chopper running for Skopper and I knew that connection was going to start, all of my alarm bells started ringing. And while it might be surprising to some of you that Chopper, of all people, would be the one to first figure out the Gorosei's regeneration, it does make sense to me, not just because of the biofeedback thing, but also because Chopper's kind of a guy who's already figured out how to alter his body's chemistry, right? That's what he does with the rumble balls. And now he's had to use drugs to accomplish that up to this point, but if there is a power out there that lets you alter your body directly and maybe even get other zone points without using rumble balls, which again, I think Lucci kind of already did during Enies Lobby, then Chopper should be the one to start that, right? Even if you go into the filler, we met a guy named Ant Day Bonham who used Qigong even to a greater degree than Lao Ji did, and he pretty much had like human zone forms for himself even though he didn't have a devil fruit. So what that tells me is that out of all of the Straw Hats, Chopper would be the one to pick up on this ability the most, so it's not that shocking that he'd be the first one to figure it out and maybe even use it. And you also gotta think that throughout the story, Chopper's kind of been our find the weak point guy, right? That's what Brainpoint has always meant to do. Now, it has been a really long time since he's used it, I think. I genuinely can't remember. Let me know in the comments if it's been more recent than I think. But that used to be his thing. I remember back when we fought Ors, he climbed up there and said that he died 500 years ago and his shoulder's weak and all of that stuff. And I think it's time we bring that back. You know, that was one of Chopper's best abilities, in my opinion, telling us what the weakness is for the stronger people to take advantage of. And I think all of that stuff is coming back right now. And I don't mean to be too disrespectful to Chopper, but he also hasn't really been much of a combat guy lately. I mean, slapping Queen was cool, tanking an attack from Saturn was just outright insane in my opinion, but he hasn't had a lot of combat feats, and so if he's the first one to break through the regeneration, that would be kinda hype. And I'm sure eventually Chopper, or maybe Scopper, will teach this to Luffy as well. And if it really does let you affect your body's chemistry and maybe reach new zone points, then what if Luffy gets new transformations in Gear 5th out of this? I'm not necessarily saying that he'd get Tank Man or Snake Man Gear 5th versions, but if Oda was going to add any variation into Gear 5th, maybe Life Return is the best way. That would also let Luffy kind of use his imagination to maybe become whatever he wants even more than he already can, and that could lead to a lot of cool outcomes as well. But now for the last part of the video, I just kind of want to talk about how this might stop the regeneration exactly. Like, what is it exactly doing to their body to make it work? And without us knowing how the regeneration works or where the powers really come from originally, which they probably come from Emu, but like we don't know the specifics yet, it's kind of hard to touch on this, but if I had to take a guess, I don't think Life Return necessarily does permanent damage or kills them. It merely just stops the regeneration. Because remember, if Life Return's about controlling bodily processes, and healing is a bodily process, then using Life Return on another person and somehow affecting their bodily processes might be what stops regeneration from happening. Because if you go look at Summers, like, he's still alive even though he got chopped in half, so clearly they're not dying from this, they're just not regenerating. So it seems like there's more to it than just this one trick. But obviously stopping regeneration is a major step, right? And so I almost think that what this does is turn these people into kind of a Kinemon situation where like their bodies are separated but they're still alive, and maybe you could just reattach them kind of like Kinemon does. So it's almost like we're revisiting the Law or Buggy situation but just in a brand new way. And so I think what's going on here is that the versions we're seeing of the Gods Knights and even the Gorosei at Egghead aren't necessarily their true selves. Like, what if it's a visage of them, a shadow clone, an astral projection, whatever you prefer. Whatever it is, it might just not be their true selves, and that's why they don't die even though their body got cut in half. Maybe what you have to do is cancel their summoning, kind of like we saw with the Joy Boy rope hockey situation, so that you find their real body, not the version that comes out of the circle, and maybe that one can actually be killed by using Life Return. And that might be the reason why they use these circles and stuff, so that way they can go on missions, and even if somebody gets past the regeneration, it doesn't really matter. But if you have strong enough hockey to stop the circle from working, and you have this special secret to stop the regeneration from happening, if you have both, then maybe you can actually kill them for good. But alright guys, that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please let me know and make sure you guys like and subscribe. If you guys have anything to add to this or any counterpoints, definitely let me know down below. Like I said earlier, as soon as I saw Chopper running off to go save Scopper, I knew I had to make a video on this because it might be this week we get the reveal, so I'm very curious what you guys think of this. But either way, whenever we get the next chapter, we'll be doing another video, so make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.